So I have the pleasure here of introducing Mark Stoner from BioCrowd to touch on our decentralized science working group. So Mark, floor is yours.
All right, well, thanks again for the invitation. I'm glad to participate early on. So I'm going to run through a lot of materials quickly, kind of an umbrella, applications, ideas, and opportunities, and then kind of narrow down where we fit and so forth at the end. So BioCrowd is a startup. We're helping to find cures for diseases faster at a lower cost. We have 3 MDs involved. We got 4 PhDs, kind of developed different relationships. Pasteur Institute in Paris, spoke to them. Had a call recently with J Labs. We're kind of too early for them, but they're interested in the model. Basically, we can move royalties and the process forward. Venture capital calls with Eli Lilly, some others. Again, that was in the fall, kind of helping move, a little early, but kind of working through. What we do is our target market is clinical research, kind of funding early stage research. And again, we're a startup. We're bootstrapped. We're raising $1.5 million seed round right now, so to keep it in context. But this is where we're going. This is what we're building. The target market is really companies and researchers. It's in life sciences, biotech. It's a well-known term, the valley of death, which means grants. They might get 3, 4 NIH grants, but it's still high risk. VCs, they're about no risk or coming in later. So this challenge, but we think with the digital asset tokens, the monetization strategy, IP strategy we can work through that. So we're really looking for use cases, people to work with, and we're in discussions on that right now. The research community and issues to improve. The system works right now. It's just it could be improved throughout the process. Scientific publishing or peer-reviewed publishing, people know it works. It's a $28 billion industry, but the idea that a federal grant researcher has to pay Nature Journal $11,000 just to publish, and then the reviewers that do the reviewing don't get paid either. So a lot of different people kind of working open publishing and so forth. The faculty side, we get faculty members that approach us just kind of through the website to hear about us, whatever. They're interested in kind of separate deals with us, or the university's taking too long. The caveat with that is that they've signed away with employment agreements. They've signed their IP rights away with the university. So as a startup, we don't want to get into litigation with Harvard and Stanford by doing separate royalty deals. However, we've heard from Johns Hopkins and others that it's up to 95% turn down of faculty invention submissions. Just doesn't fit their profile or not the right faculty or whatever. So there's an opportunity for us for university turn downs, other relationships. The other thing is most people think of SBIR grants, STTR grants for some of the people we work with are a factor. University tech transfer offices, the larger ones, Stanford, Harvard, MIT, they're well-oiled machines. The licensing, the tech, the funding, the startup support, and so forth. The R2 universities, a little more of a challenge. I mean, we're members of AUTUM, the Tech Transfer Association. We've heard on webinars and so forth, it'd be nice if we made money, but then you're fighting for budgets yearly. Intellectual property, patents, that's what it's all about in biotech. Just kind of a challenge, the cost to secure that. We've got kind of a secret sauce thing area that we're working on. Biopharma companies, their goal is a monopoly. That's what they're funding. Keytruda, you probably see the TV commercials all the time. Cancer. In 2022, Keytruda generated $21 billion in revenue. $21 billion for one drug, one pill. The challenge is patient recruitment and engagement. It's for everybody in the industry, finding enough people that fit that profile. And on the other side, the big pharma side, they need scale. They need a lot of data. Patient advocacy groups, they're kind of ones with money and ones without. With the digital asset tokens, this is an opportunity for us and others to work with these groups where we can reward them with basically shares for their DNA, for their participation, if they refer us to people and so forth. So fitting in with kind of the NSF and the whole model, it opens up a lot more flexibility opportunities. The data reproducibility is an issue. Big pharma, others that are buying these companies, they can't always prove that they can reproduce it. Privacy concerns, everybody's worried about privacy, HIPAA, but they need a lot of data. There's an opportunity for standardization. I think 20 colleges have signed these standard agreements, material authorization, but they don't always use it. Just back to the IP agreements, there's a lot of opportunity for standardization, but every university seems to do their own thing. What we do is at BioCrowd, we provide capital and resources to accelerate innovation in high impact and underserved areas of medical research. We're building a global community that democratizes how clinical research is funded and how knowledge is shared. Again, this is what we're building. Web3 marketplace for investing in IP rights and future cash flow royalties as an issuer and investment vehicle using SEC compliant private securities. So obviously working within the legal framework, Reg CF, Reg D, and so forth. And then our decentralized accelerator platform. So you think of us as like a Y Combinator. We're bringing in early companies, helping them commercialize, lawyer referrals, commercialization throughout that process. And then our value, our exit, we're not staying in something for 10 years. Our value is kind of coming in early, supporting early research. And we're really looking for translational research as the category. We're a startup, we can't fund basic research that NIH does. We're looking, translational research means something that's developing a product with a potential outcome. And then we support, there's a value inflection point, either animal trials or some other value along the way. There's a bump up and then license M&A to a bigger company, pharma and so forth. And then also on the other side, kind of keeping relationships. We know that Eli Lilly's focused kind of what they're interested in, Novartis, rare diseases, and a lot of other areas. And then this is kind of the summary of what the end result is. The digital asset tokens, bringing more liquidity between development phases. Token holders can buy, sell, exchange. So this means that early people may be medical background, they invest, they know the science, early drug discovery, it passes to a clinical study, et cetera, as you see as it moves forward. So the point is the liquidity that people can come in and out of the market. Because if people are investing for 5 to 10 years, you've got a much more limited pool of investors, that private equity and so forth, that can do that. But if you have smaller, quote unquote, retail investors, if they think they can be out within a couple of years, you certainly increase the flow of potential opportunities. How decentralized science or DeSci improves science. You can collaborate with peers from all over the globe in dynamic teams, and I've got some examples. Funding decisions are made online, transparent, new funding mechanisms. Sharing laboratory services is much easier, transparent. New models for publishing I spoke about. They can earn tokens and reputation for peer reviewing work. So they see the tokens, they earn, and we have it set up already. It's called a bounty board. There's a website called DWork where we're using them. Basically, we can reward if somebody reviews, somebody's screening 3 different funding submission proposals, we can reward them, say, with $250 or marketing people, other people along the way. So that's another benefit of the digital asset tokens. Intellectual property, they can generate and distribute according to the transparent terms. So with the DeSci, somebody in India can apply for funding, a scientist. We evaluate it, we can connect them with somebody in France or the Bay Area or MD Anderson that has that experience. But the point is that they can get rewarded monetization from the beginning 10 years later, even if it's sold a couple times, if that's the way the deal is set up. The other thing is sharing all of the research, including data from unsuccessful efforts. As you know, pharma companies, if they have a failure, they probably are not going to publish that because they're going to save that information, might reuse it or other opportunities in the future. If there's so much research that is duplicated, but that's the business model today. St. Jude's, just to be clear, we don't have any relationship with them. We haven't talked to them. Just showing as an example. It's on their website. They do nonprofit clinical research. They publish their data. They publish their research. So this means that we could go to them for maybe we have a relationship or another area of pediatric cancer, go to them, offer a royalty deal, and then we can kind of toss it out to the world, obviously within a narrow framework and kind of narrow it down by peer-reviewed experts, et cetera, highly cited people and so forth, but kind of an opportunity there. And I know NFT is kind of a scary word for a lot of people. A lot of people think first thing they think of is maybe Snoop Dogg. But IP, NFTs, it's just a technology. So what it means is, in this example, a fractionalization. So this is, for example, a lab, whatever, university lab, independent lab, whatever. So if it's if it's early on, sorry, just hitting, there we go. If it creates a fractional opportunity, so people on the early end, what I said is the people that are getting some percentage on the front end and other people. But you see, it could be 4 people, 5 people, but this is kind of the extreme example, all these different people. You think about postdocs in a lab, they're getting educated, but they're not making any money, really. This could be something that you can divide it up by the lab. It could be a product line, a specific area. The fractionalization gives a lot more opportunities. From an SEC perspective, an NFT is not a security. If you fractionalize it, it is. So that's another part of the process. The mission of the NDF DSI working group, we're looking for people to collaborate with, build a blockchain tool set, infrastructure, and an economic model that monetizes the ecosystem and contributors. Help activate, reward, and empower a global community, contributors. This is the example for the NDF working group too. So if you go, you can sign up on our website, BioCrowd.com, and I can put into the chat some other links too. Obviously, we're looking for kind of highly cited top clinical researchers, but we're also looking for business development people with software, technical scientists, people that are grant writers maybe that can help some of the companies who we work with obtain grants. So if this is of interest, I would sign up or just fill in your contact information, and then we can follow up and kind of figure out what role you play. But don't think you have to be a top scientist. I'd say anybody and everybody at this point, we'll kind of work through it. BioCrowd key focus areas for funding and support. Rare diseases, there's over 7,000 rare diseases according to the SEC, according to the FDA. A rare disease is categorized as less than 200,000 people. So for the digital asset tokens, it works for that especially. That's why it's something early we're working on, because we can monetize, we can reward people early on, and also just getting the patient groups involved. They're highly motivated, the patient group. People that have these diseases, and pharma companies, it's just the economic model they're passing because it's not economically feasible for them. This is something that we can activate. So February 6th in San Francisco, the University of California in San Francisco, UCSF has an all-day rare disease conference we're attending. Cancer, we're really opportunistic as we kind of work through use cases and so forth, but cancer is one great umbrella area. Just saw last week, there's a new cancer report that came out. It said colorectal cancer for people less than 50 has really popped up. Cancer in general is down, but colorectal cancer, you can Google it, find the new report. And they're not sure why. That was the big thing in the headlines too. They don't know why yet. Pancreatic cancer, kind of some of the people on our team say we don't want to pursue that because it's just such a low success rate. I think 2%, but I think it's worth kind of putting it together. Women's health, we're talking to a few different people. Metastatic breast cancer, we have a startup in San Diego focused on earlier detection of menopause. disease of the brain and central nervous system. This is specifically CERM, which is the stem cell agency in California. They have a $100 million grant program coming up in April, and as well as continuous grants. But the idea with the stem cell agency, they reward grants to all these different organizations. Usually it goes to the Stanford, UCSF, and so forth. But we're too early, but a later stage could be assembling this team in the R2, which are small, the next level of research organizations, maybe the state of California, Riverside, kind of connecting a group of people. And we kind of think of this marketplace model as like an eBay for clinical research, or an iTunes, standardizing, standard economic, transparent model, and so forth. So that's kind of longer term. Computational biology, I worked at Accenture, big data background. I'm not a clinician, PricewaterhouseCoopers, and so forth, but also computational biology is much cheaper for us to start on, 30 to 50,000 versus $100,000 grants and so forth. And I didn't really mention kind of the different models are a full DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. It's a community of people come together with like an ETF, a specific mission, or it could be a project. Someone with a sick child, a rare disease, they want to spin up a fundraising mechanism, collaboration. If you think of like GoFundMe, the largest category for GoFundMe is medical, $650 million a year. A lot of it's people to help pay their medical bills and so forth, but that's kind of the economic model. And then pandemic response, biodefense, that was one of the proposals I submitted to NDF in October. Is kind of one of the potential areas, kind of along with your disaster recovery and so forth. And then we have different relationships. Pandemic response is good for a DAO in that everybody has the same common interest. If there was another COVID, and the World Health Organization published last week, there's a great concern for the next COVID. The idea is that it's a functioning organization. The researchers we partner with, or the institutions, if there's something that needs to be spun up very quickly, it can be just a put out to the community, people working on it. The other thing is they can get monetized. Again, the IP NFTs or whatever, we have other technologies we're looking at, people that get out there. So within science, there's a lot of silos, as you know. This spins it out, DeSci, toss it out to the world globally, and develop those relationships. I have a relationship with a venture capital firm, the managing director in the Silicon Valley, focused on national defense. The other thing about this area, if people are interested, I'm kind of throwing out some areas and happy to talk to people further, is that we talked to J Labs recently. They have, it's called the Blue Knight program, and they have a partnership with BARDA, the defense agency. I just got an email from them today at the Bio Conference in San Diego coming up in June. Just Google J Labs or the Blue Knight specifically for this area. So if people have an interest, love to talk to you more about that. But J Labs and BARDA could be pulled into it soon. And then kind of in closing, this is a later stage model, but the idea is that we're raising $1.5 million. We might, I see where NSF grants could be kind of something that would be, we might be able to qualify for, et cetera, et cetera. But the idea with the consumer side, we need to establish a beachhead, the research community, build the economic model, find product market fit. The consumer side is that, imagine if you could invest in your own cure, then you could help fund research to cure a genetic disease affecting you or your family from your DNA, while also earning a return on your life-saving investment or impact investment. In other words, you get your DNA, you find out that you've got a health risk. It could be pancreatic cancer. So then you go into a DAO, basically like an ETF, funding, support, directing within that area. It could be a rare disease, 200,000, 150,000 people have. You could help launch that with the tools we're providing, participate in that, find others. So again, the mechanism, the technology is quite amazing. The flexibility, what we can do. The other side of that is that with the IP, with the NFT, the intellectual property, and so forth, if there's a success, and hopefully as it goes forward, teaming with the right researchers and so forth, if it's successful, you can profit on the back end when it's sold to big pharma or whatever. So again, a little kind of blue sky, but the technology, we can do this. And there we go. Just in conclusion, my contact information, and let me put in the chat quick. Okay, so what I put in the chat is our website, so you see more about what we do. The next one is the actual application for the work group. Again, if this area is of interest, you're not sure where you fit, let's talk. My LinkedIn profile, it's set up. You have to have my email address because I get so many connections a week. And then there it is, the bio or the JLabs Blue Knight